Good evening. Hard to believe that it is 3 months since we started this thing and we are now on the last weekend. I'm going to go through the GCs now of each of the various segments and then what it looks like for the overall table. Okay, the first loop is the big loop. This is a summation of all of the big loops of the various stages and it's highlighted in yellow. Andrew number 1, Grant number 2, Colin number 3. Grant 4 hours 43 minutes and then Colin in third place at 5:09. For the big loop, I think the structure is pretty set. The only thing that I see could happen is that Brett decides to give it another go and can get 2 minutes 32 seconds on pure joy. In order to do that, he'll have to do 1 hour 15 dead. Not impossible. If I look at the history, because he's then chasing Colin, I opened up and had a look at previous stages of the history, and I see that stage 1 on Pure Bliss, Brett beat Colin comfortably. When we did stage 2 on the Red Holstein, it was split only by a couple of seconds. However, what has happened in Pure Joy is Colin has completely crushed Brett. So if Brett is going to give it a go, he needs to then go back to where he was in stage 1. The question is, has Colin improved between the stages and is now better and fitter than Brett? Or is Brett just not taking this thing seriously? If I look further down, the infamous John Z, who has not done the loop yet, and if he can do it and do a 124.31 for Pure Joy, he will then move into third place. If I look back in history as well, this seems very possible. So my leaderboard for the big loop, when this is all over, is Andrew, seems like he's going to take it. Grant second, John third. I've just had another look as well. There's another interesting duet that's coming up here, further down the board. It's between Greg and Birgit, which I never really saw that. It is a little bit further, so it's below the middle of the table. With Birgit at 5:33 behind Greg. Birgit, I bet you regret stopping now for that selfie. And I hope that selfie took you a couple of minutes, because maybe you should do it without a selfie and you'll put a bit of pressure onto Mr. Ritz again. The next segment I'm going to go through is the downhill segment. This has turned into an incredibly hotly contested one, with a lot of guys almost killing themselves trying to get to pole and king of the downhill. Let's have a look at what the table looks like. Okay, so king of the downhill. Andrew 1, Grant 2, Brett 3. Not really separated by a hell of a lot. So 22:08 down to 23:25. So just over a minute separating the top 3 contenders. So if I have a look at this and see who are the contenders, yeah, we've got a real moaning Mini who could change the pecking order if he decided to do a little bit of work.
No, that was the guy that said that should be a downhill needs to get kicked in the balls. That's fucking no downhill.
This is the hill in question. Doesn't seem like a big hill to me. Yes, Greg, it is a downhill. Have a look at the profile. I'm sure you've got Strava. You've analysed one or two of these things before. You need to pedal in the forest, Mr. Ritz. If you manage to get this to number 1, I will comfortably have a double tequila at the prize giving, because I don't know if you've got it in you. Who could upset the apple cart further? This is Graham. However, after his crash, 3 broken ribs and a shoulder issue, he's out. He would have needed to do a 7:42 on the Raging Bull, and I've got no question that is possible, because he's a little bit fit enough to get through the forest quickly and get onto the next downhill section, which some of the other athletes apparently have not got the ability to do. So Graham would have taken the third if he just managed to stay on his bike when he did the tabletop at the J-Bay Bike Park and not decide to go head over heels and break 3 ribs. So, for the downhill prediction, Grant 1, Andrew 2, and Greg 3. I know it's surprising, But yeah, I'm sure he will pedal through the forest now. And mountain biking is not for sissies. And let's see what happens on this hotly contested downhill loop. Okay, the third and final one is the cross-country leg. Who is and what does the table look like for the king of the cross-country loop? So here you see something a little bit different. So you've got Grant, Graham and John who are sitting on the top of the cross-country loop so far, with Grant fairly well in the lead, but not a hell of a lot between second and third place. Okay, with the cross-country leg, it's clear. The race is all around about the third spot. Can Colin get 15 seconds to knock John off this podium? Also, if I look further down a bit, Austin and Brett, and the guys that have not done the JB Bike Park Loop, myself, Ryan, Anton, Mark and Jared, if any one of us get to around about 45 minutes, this will leapfrog right up the leaderboard any one of the people inside there. So the guys that haven't done it yet, get down there, do it. It's a great loop. My prediction for this one is Grant first, Graham second, and John third. Well, now it's down to the main GC and overall winner. Let's have a look what this table looks like. Currently number 1, Grant. Number 2, Andrew. And number 3, Colin. 28 minutes off the pace. All right, if we look at who could topple who could change this leaderboard. Brett, 6:25 off third. Ian also has come up with his new bike. However, he's surfing in Mexico, so he's out. But if John cracks on the pace and does a 1:23 on Pure Joy, he then takes third place. In the middle of the table, there are lots of races in between individuals that have come up with. I could catch Graham. Will Anton beat Ryan? Or will Anton do stage 3 at all and stop studying? I'm ahead of Greg and have to change my sights onto a new person because he's eating my dust at the moment. So yeah, I've chosen Graham. Luckily, he couldn't do one stage, which gives me a fighting chance to get close to him. Another one to watch is Johan Gerrits. And him and Birgit, pretty tight tussle. Johan will have to get off the couch in order to improve this situation, unfortunately, and man up, learn the route, and get around one of them, any one of them, and make sure you do that. Mark has face planted and has a little bit of a facial rash. This happened while riding with Jared down the Krakakama road where the stick went into his front wheel and he had an unplanned dismount. So as you can see, there's still lots of questions, lots of racing left. So my prediction, just before I make my prediction, we got some news from CNN. And it appears that Andrew has flown an oxygen tent in from the Sky team in Carcassonne today. And he believes that the antibiotics that he's on and the blood recirculation device that he got from one of the cycling teams, which I cannot name my sources, he should be good to go by Sunday. And this changes and really puts a cat amongst the pigeons. Is Andrew 1, Grant 2, John 3. What will happen with 1 weekend to go? Is it going to be a sufferfest or not? Ride safe, and we will talk after next weekend with the final results. Enjoy your riding.